this entire matter. After the Supreme Court hearing in the Trisha death case, the CBI, of course, will be officially taking over the investigations in this matter. Remember that the Madhya Pradesh government had already requested the CBI to take over the investigation. That was something that was also confirmed during the Supreme Court hearing as well. And now, of course, the CBI will be officially taking over the investigation, and all the material that's been accumulated as part of the investigation so far conducted by the Madhya Pradesh police will be handed over to the CBI. And a team belonging to the CBI is also now headed for Bhopal to essentially take over the investigation from there. Let me go across to my colleague Priyank as well, who's joining us for more on this now. Priyank, this was along expected lines. The CBI will now be officially taking over the investigation. This was something that was mentioned in the Supreme Court hearing that was held as well. And earlier, of course, we also had the Madhya Pradesh government recommending a CBI probe.
See, Siddharth, from the apex court observation, it's quite clear that the family member of Trisha are not willing to talk to the media, and what they have told us that they are willing to comply with the kind of direction which has been given by the apex court, and certainly that's why we are going back to the location where the CBI team is expected to leave in the evening. I was there at the family's location, and now the family has slightly changed their stand. They are not willing to come before the camera. But there are two pieces, big pieces of breaking which we want to highlight. One is that the CBI team is already on its way to Bhopal, and the second thing is that I've spoken to Dr. Sudhir Gupta, who is the head of AIIMS Forensic, under whom this particular forensic examination was being conducted. And since the CBI team is coming to Bhopal, Dr. Gupta, who's the head of the forensic, has decided to hand over the sealed post-mortem report, the second post-mortem report copy, to the CBI itself, not to the state police. Development which is happening in this case, although the Department of Forensic has conducted multiple things during the fresh autopsy.
That's an important point that you've made, Priyank, because stay with us. Our next breaking is in fact related to the post-mortem of Twisha and how the CBI will be given the latest autopsy report that's been conducted. Now, the post-mortem of Twisha had been conducted in Bhopal yesterday. This is the second autopsy that we're speaking of, and according to the sources within the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, it'll be taking some time for the post-mortem report to emerge, because certain lab tests, including the histopathology and viscera, are to be conducted, and sources have said that some important scientific and lab-based tests have not been completely concluded just so far, and therefore the sources have told your channel that the head of the forensic department of the AIIMS has decided that the sealed post-mortem report will be handed over only to the CBI, like Priyank mentioned a short while back, and not to the state police SIT, because the case has now been formally handed over to the Central Bureau of Investigation. So coming back to you, Priyank, on the same matter, this is something that you told us just a short while back, that the details of the second autopsy, certain tests which are still pending, or the reports are still pending, will be handed over to the CBI on the part of the AIIMS and not to the Madhya Pradesh Police SIT.
Yes, Siddharth, that's what this AIIMS Forensic Department has decided, that the post-mortem report, which will be sealed which will be handed over to the CBI itself, because the CBI team has now moved to Bhopal. But during the course of the second post-mortem, the post-mortem which continued for over 4 hours, where the first team of panel had met the investigating officer, they had also met the family members of Trisha regarding what could have been the suspicion that the family has been raising. Then they conducted the post-mortem, the second post-mortem, and then they visited the crime spot. What I have been told from the head of the forensic department in AIIMS, that during the fresh autopsy, the viscera samples were collected, while tissues of the samples and the stomach and the kidney and liver were preserved by the Department of Toxicology, and Dr. Kulbhushan was the one who was taking care of this particular aspect, because it need to be checked that whether Trisha could have been given some poison or not. There have been multiple angles on which the post-mortem finding doctors have been focusing on whether it was what could have been the possible cause of death. The possibility of any kind of self-inflictory or the injuries which has been caused by someone else is certainly something which could be a conclusive thing, because Siddharth, the first post-mortem was not mentioning there were several lacunas, including the height of the deceased, because the height of the deceased was 177 centimeter approximately, and the post-mortem report of the Bhopal AIIMS was mentioning that the post-mortem report was 166. But we know that it's a big observation which has come up from the apex court, which is also raising concern that where will these victims go? Are the only option for them is to keep on waiting for the top courts to react on their justice, or they can also talk to the media. So media was the one which brought this case into light.
And now, of course, there's been a directive that's come from the court that neither the victim's family nor the accused family can speak to the media. So they'll basically have to refrain from talking to the press. But staying with the autopsy, Priyank, you've given us some very important updates. Now, the forensic board examined multiple causes of death, including suicide, trauma, intoxication, as well, while viscera and tissue samples have been preserved for detailed toxicology and histopathology reports that are still pending in this particular matter as well. There are multiple angles that are under the scrutiny of the agencies in this particular matter. Like we mentioned, suicide, trauma, poisoning also being probed, and the prospect of that. The first post-mortem will be compared with the new report, the second autopsy that has been ordered, and the All India Institute of Medical Sciences team will be back in Delhi after all those examinations are completed. So let me go across to Priyank once again. Priyank, like you were telling us a short while back, there were certain lacunae with respect to the first autopsy report, and therefore subsequently a second autopsy had to be conducted before, of course, the cremation formalities of Trisha. And those two reports will, of course, be compared to identify and get some more clarity on what could have been the exact cause of death.
Yes, at least that this is what we have got to know, that since the second post-mortem has been conducted by the doctors of a five-member team, which was chaired by Dr. Milo, the team which was formed by Dr. Sudhir Gupta, who's the head of the forensic department, and there itself the post-mortem doctors had looked into several aspects. Point number one, that whether it was a case of suicide or it was a case of murder, because these were the specific allegations which was raised by the family members' side. Then they have also preserved the viscera, Siddharth, because the viscera can also identify it, and the Department of Toxicology can identify that whether there was some kind of poisonous thing which had been given to Trisha Sharma or not. This is very important because what happened in the last 2 hours where she was found dead, she left from the parlor, she was looking very normal. She kept on saying it to her mother that I'm feeling claustrophobic in this particular house, and then her body being found around 10:30, which led to Trisha's death. There are several unanswered questions which need to be found out. That's why the panel was created on the directions of the Honorable High Court in Jabalpur, and the team has gone back to the national capital. The meeting in between the forensic doctors is expected.
We await the final second autopsy as well, and let's see as to whether or not it answers several of the unanswered questions that have emerged as a result of the investigation, and of course the lacunae in the first autopsy report as well. Many thanks for all those updates. We'll take a short break. We'll come back with more on the other side.